Brad Mason LeBeau, entrepreneur, New York, Manhattan. You opened in 1983 and still today in 2024. You're the owner of Promotion, the Brad LeBeau Company, Inc., and Manhattan, New York. And July 5th, 2024, it will be 41 years you opened on the birthday of your father, Norman. Why did you choose to open that day?
It was not anything connected to my father's birthday.
Really?
It was just a coincidence. But it's a day that I had planned 30 days before when I was working for a company who I knew would talk badly about me the moment I left. So I spent the previous 30 days while working with this other company setting up my office. Every day for lunch, I would leave the office I was working in.
In Manhattan?
In Manhattan, and set up my new office 4 blocks away for my own company. One day I would go in and watch the carpets come down. One day I would go in and watch the furniture come in. One day I'd watch the telephones come in, because I knew the fellow that I was working for at the other company would badmouth and talk badly about me the moment I left.
Why did you thought he was going to do that to you?
Because I watched him do it with everybody else. Because my father didn't raise an idiot child. Mm-hmm. And if he did this with other people, of course he's going to do it with me.
Is it because probably you were very good at what you were doing?
It was time to move on.
How long were you at that company before?
About a year.
So you stayed for 1 year as an employee, mm-hmm. and then you decide to open Promotion.
Yes, there were a couple of clients that we had contacted me separately and suggested I start my own company.
Who was these clients?
One fellow worked for MCA Records.
Yeah.
Another fellow was my boss's best friend.
Oh.
We're in the balcony at Studio 54. He was very close to my boss. Mm-hmm. But he said to me, "It's time for you to start your own company."
He said that?
Yes. And I thought, if this guy is the best friend of my boss, he's either setting me up to see if I would do it and then report back, or he really believes it's time for me to move on. I chose to believe it was time for me to move on.
But you were only 26 years old?
I was only 26 years old.
You were a unit child?
I knew nothing about running a business.
And you were unique? And from mother, father, no brother, no sister, no cousin?
I am an only child.
Okay. And you live in Manhattan, New York?
I live in New York City.
You were raised there?
I am.
You're a real American.
I am a real New Yorker.
Thank you for coming in Canada to do that.
My pleasure.
Do you think the industry of music back then in 1883 and today is totally different, or it's got the same rules? It's a very niche thing.
Well, you know, the specialty area that I'm in is dance pop music, mm-hmm. right? And the complexion of the music business is completely different. We consume music differently.
How?
In 1983, you could buy music only in hard copy format.
Absolutely.
You could buy vinyl, which is how we started. You could buy cassettes, mm-hmm. right? Then you could buy CDs. Mm-hmm. But in 1983, there was no cell phone. There was no digital technology. The big thing...
Was it email then?
No. No. The big thing in 1983, the thing everybody was talking about, was overnight mail and the fax machine.
Okay.
People didn't really understand that you could get a letter the next day instead of putting it in the mail and taking several 8 days. Before the fax machine, it was called the telex, which was like a typewriter, a primitive typewriter where you would type. It almost looked like a telegram, mm-hmm. and so you can send a note to somebody across the country or another. But it was very primitive, right? But there was no email. There was no desktop computers. They were talking about desktops. Really successful companies had desktops. Mine didn't in the beginning. In the beginning, I had to rent furniture. I couldn't afford to buy furniture.
The phone was the priority, too.
The phone was the only way to communicate.
So you were always on the phone?
Always on the phone.
You still today?
I am still today on the phone. Though I do text a lot. But yes, today I am. Because of my age, I do believe in Verbal communication is much more important and powerful and emotive than texting.
It's funny that you say that because I know you since 2001. And I remember we were on the phone. We didn't text too much because it was just coming with BlackBerry. You remember we used to have BlackBerry. We didn't have iPhone, me and you, at that time. And now when I speak to you, you want to see my face all the time. And back then, you didn't even have time to really take the phone and have a conversation in the middle of the day. So do you think this changed a lot, the way you communicate now? Do you have the technology?
I'm one of the few people who actually likes to see people when I talk to them. I would much prefer to Zoom or FaceTime or Facebook video with somebody because that's the interaction of emotion. You can see somebody's eyes. And so that's my preferential form of communication because we have the technology today. Years ago, we only had a landline.
Yeah.
Cell phones were coming about. But we were in cell phones. Original cell phones didn't text.
We had BlackBerry.
Right. So you have a phone, and you sort of figure it out.
Yeah.
You sort of figure it out. But now everything has changed. You asked me about the consumption of music. So people don't buy music anymore. They really don't. The way that they'll listen to music is either on Spotify or Pandora. They'll stream it. You can hear your favorite song 1,000 times in one day just by hitting repeat. Right. The music business in America is a singles market. It's no longer an album market.
Okay.
The music business, in my opinion, has failed to regulate quality. They'd much rather give you more music on an album than quality music on an album.
What's quality for you?
Hit records. You know, songs that you will listen to over and over again. Nobody's interested in quantity. Nobody. I'm not interested in quantity. You know, so
you want one hit, one song.
Sure. You know, it's like, do you want to buy 10 mediocre dresses?
No.
Or do you want to buy one dress that you know is fantastic? It's true with anything, right? And the music business has suffered because of that. And then the internet comes along and people are stealing music. So, you know, you can only fool the consumer for so long before they get hip to what is inappropriate.
You think the music is like, we heard that, we've been doing that, because, you know, you have so much that you can do. It's like A, B, C, D, you know, A to Z. The music must be the same. After a while, it's the same note. It's going to come back. What worked 10 years ago, it's coming back now. The fashion is always the same. If you look the way we dress, the way we're the same people.
It is cyclical.
You think?
I do think so. Right now, disco is back in a huge way. Disco is almost as popular now as it was in the 70s. Disco in the 70s only lasted 3 years.
Oh.
It was only 3 years long.
Did you like disco?
And then it died. I love disco. And now with artists like Dua Lipa or Doja Cat or Daft Punk or Nile Rodgers, disco is returned. So you'll see the biggest artists now want to have their records remixed like 1970s disco. Fashion designers are recreating their lines for the 70s and glam. 80s are now coming back. You know, what's old is new again. And with music, a hit is a hit is a hit. So what artists are doing now is they're taking melodies of old songs and they're rewriting lyrics with new singers.
Yeah.
So if it's a hit, it's a hit.
But for the young generation, for them, it's new. Because they don't know. You did the circle, obviously, because now you're back to disco.
That's right.
Do you think you did the whole circle now and you're done? Because after a while, how much circle can you do? The 360.
You'll have to ask people that I work with, am I done? Some will probably say I'm done. I don't think I'm done. I love what I do for a living.
But do you think it's repeatedly now?
It always repeats. Yeah.
So you
Every
know
7 or 8 years.
You know the recipe. You know the recipe. You know how to do it. What made you go and say, if I know the tricks, if you did it once, you do it again?
I don't think there's a trick to it. I think that the ability that we have at our company is we're very particular about the music we represent. We only represent one new song every week.
Okay.
We only do 52 records a year. We
and
don't
before?
do 53, we don't do 51. I've always done one new one a week.
You always?
Always.
I thought you were doing a lot of people at the same time.
No.
So it's 3 months?
About 3 to 4 months per project, so the songs overlap, right? The songs will overlap. But in terms of releasing a new record, we release a new record every Friday at 12 o'clock New York time. Only that time.
You always did it this way?
Always this way.
Why?
Well,
you're very scheduled.
I am very scheduled, yeah.
Very the same all along.
Yeah, I believe in the lather, rinse, and repeat theory, that repetition strengthens and confirms. We're creatures of habit. You know,
consistency.
Right, consistency is everything. If you want to establish a brand, because of all the information that's coming on your cell phone, it's massive amounts of information. How much can you consume? What's your attention span?
Yeah.
Human attention span, we can only listen and think about one thing at a time. We can switch back and forth, but to get your full attention, I can't manage more than one project a week and expect that you're going to pay full attention to it. If I release 2 records at a time, you're going to choose the best one, and you'll never listen to the other one.
Absolutely.
No matter how good it is.
It's like having 2 wives or 2 husbands. It's hard.
That's right. That's right.
We're not against it.
In some countries,
it's okay.
But you can't do that. And it's manageable for me.
How big is your team?
5 people.
It's always been 5.
Always 5.
Why 5? Is it because you opened the 5th of July?
Nope.
You always have
always
5?
Have 5 people.
Tell me what they do.
Social media, accounting, bookkeeping, creative, remixes, producers, marketing. Some jobs overlap.
So you're the leader of all these people?
I am a worker amongst workers.
But are you the leader of all these people?
I own the company.
Are you the leader?
I own the company.
I understand, but sometimes we don't have the expertise that they do, but we oversee it.
Right. I will say that for all the years when we used to have business cards, back in the day when people had business cards,
yes,
we never had titles on any business cards.
Okay. You don't like titles?
I don't like titles.
Why?
We work together. We don't. I happen to write the paychecks, but I'm not better or worse than anybody else.
Do you believe, like I do, in business as an entrepreneur, it takes a team to make you grow because you cannot do everything alone?
It takes a village.
Do you believe that?
I do.
And everybody is as important as the owner?
Absolutely.
Even more sometimes?
Even more sometimes.
Do you agree?
I do.
Why do you stay independent until now? Anybody could ask you to be exclusive to them and come and work for the company, you know?
Trust. I don't trust people.
Oh, not even in your business?
Especially in my business.
Why?
I've never been interested in one person controlling my income.
Okay.
I'm not
Smart.
a corporate guy. Nobody wants Brad and his company inside of a larger corporation.
You make me laugh when you say that.
I don't. Nobody wants that.
Why?
Because I'm my own guy. I'll tell you exactly what I think. And in companies, they don't always want to know what you think. They want you to know what they think, and they want you to know what you're to do. And in music, because it's taste, it's art. You know, it's paintings, it's sculptures, it's music. It's, you know, why does somebody like music and somebody doesn't like the same piece of music? Because they don't. Why does somebody like that painting and somebody doesn't like that painting? Because they don't. So for me, it's not the T-shirt business. Small, medium, large, extra large. It doesn't work that way. So to have one person at a company who is your boss, who, if they're having a bad day or you're not saying the right thing, they're going to fire you, regardless of how good you are. No, thank you. I am gainfully unemployable in a corporate setting. I would not last 30 days inside of a company. I probably wouldn't even last 2 weeks.
Do you think it's because you have a problem to be in the box?
I have a problem putting up with bullshit.
Okay. Putting up with bullshit, but they paying your paycheck. You won't go there.
That's right. They will pay my paycheck, and that will make me put up with that. So now I know in my own business, and I started my own business because I was pretty much fired from every job I ever had before that.
Okay, but you were only 26.
Right. So And I realized early going that
are you rebel? And are you having a big ego as an entrepreneur?
It depends who you ask. I don't think so. I did years ago. It was very important years ago that you know who I am and what I did for a living. That's not the case anymore.
You know, you're a big personage, a big persona. You have a big personality. You take a lot of space. You are very...
I take up a lot of oxygen, I'll tell you that.
But it's beautiful.
I can suck it right out of the room.
Yeah. If we don't want to talk, you will make sure we do. So when you walk into the room, you are the most famous person all the time. I know you have a problem with famous because probably, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, you live in that world of famous. Everybody wants to be famous. So for you, but you understand how powerful you are. Do you?
No, not really, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Why do you have such a big problem with accepting that you're one of the most popular person in the music industry?
Because I don't think I'm one of the most popular people.
That's what you think. But do you understand
what
that
I
other
think.
people see you bigger than life?
No, you'll have to ask them.
It's a great thing.
Okay.
You did accomplish something 41 years. Some people last...
I'm happy about that. I don't think that I don't think the two things are mutually exclusive. I'm very proud of what the company has done.
But the company is you.
Yeah, I own the company. But I don't think that because the company has done well, rather well, very well, depending upon who you ask, that it makes me famous. It just means the company has done well. But at the end of the day, my company is really only as good as the projects we represent. And I think in life, at the end of the day, you're going to be judged by your greatest wins, and probably even more so by your greatest losses.
Absolutely.
So I try to minimize the losses.
You choose to put your name, because I remember back then it was Promotion Left. And now when we look for Promotion Left, is no longer the word left.
Right.
It's Promotion, the Brad LeBeau company. Right. It's a big, big suitcase to carry because your name is there now.
Right.
It's the Brad LeBeau.
I'm completely responsible for the mess.
Why did you choose to write, if you don't want to be that,
well,
the Brad LeBeau company?
So as a practical matter, it was always the Brad LeBeau company. In the United States, you can't incorporate a business if the name of the business is what it is.
Oh, okay.
So if I owned a drugstore, I couldn't call the business the drugstore.
Okay.
In incorporation. So the name of the company is the Brad LeBeau Company. DBA, doing business as promotion.
Okay.
Right. But Lyft was a division that we had for college radio way before social media took hold. And when social media took hold, there was no longer to do college radio because the 18 to 24, 25, 34-year-old demographic is more social than they are listening to radio, right? So, but the company in 1983 was incorporated under the Brad LeBeau Company. It's a long name. It took up too much space.
It's very nice, but it's very heavy because then you're the face of the business. You cannot sell the business.
I am responsible for the...
Your father, Norman, that I had the privilege to meet more than once, today is not longer with us, had a strong personality. He was an entrepreneur, also an artist. He was in jewelry, but also your mother. Your mother was an artist. She was a singer, an opera singer, so she loved music. Do you think both of them bring something different to the plate that today you choose to do music still?
My family is creative. We're creatives. You know, my mom was a singer, amateur opera singer until she got married to my dad and had me. And my father was an artist, a painter and a sculptor, and ended up in the jewelry business, just manufacturing smaller pieces of sculpture. So I think the creative is a genetic predisposition, you know. And if you're fortunate in life, your train will catch a certain track, right? Most people work for a living. They don't really find it is what they love to do. They work for income and for the result, which is money.
Some people are scared.
Right. Most people are go along to get along kind of people. I'm not that guy.
No.
I have my own ideas. I'm responsible for the good decisions and the bad decisions. You know, I make probably an equal number through the course of my life. But the creative space is an interesting space. It's, it's subjective.
How?
As I said before, the T-shirt business, small, medium, large, extra large. Small is not large. Medium is not extra large. It is what it is. You try it on, it fits. You walk out with the T-shirt. It's not the same with art or anything creative. You're asking or appealing to people based on what it is you like, right? So,
why did you choose music? Is it because your mom brought you in this track?
Music sort of chose me.
She played piano, I believe, also.
Say again?
You had a big piano in your house as a child.
A what?
A piano?
Yeah, my mom was a piano player.
So you heard piano?
I don't know. I came into the house one day. There was a baby grand piano in the apartment.
And she played?
And she played a little bit, yeah. But it was more for the look, I think, right? But I didn't choose music intentionally.
How did this happen?
We didn't, growing up, we didn't discuss Brad being in the music business. We discussed Brad being a doctor, Jewish doctor,
A lawyer, dentist?
Yeah, but doctor. My mom's thing was a doctor. And I went to university where the predisposition for students was to go to medical school. Freshman year, I was 18. Second year or junior year, I was 19, and my mom died in September of my sophomore year.
So you were 20?
I was 19. Yeah, I was 19.
How did this affect you?
At the time, I didn't think it did. In retrospect, it did greatly. Mm-hmm. I remember when my mom passed away, I called my father and I said, now that my mom has passed away, I really don't want to stay in the medical
field
program at university. And my father said something that changed my life. He said, as men in this society, we have to work more during our waking hours than anything else. He said, if you are truly blessed, you will love what you do for a living. So you do whatever you want to do.
Really?
Yeah. And that was the statement that changed my life, because if my father said, no, you ought to stay in the medical program,
you would have stayed.
And I would have failed out, because I was not prepared from high school for that kind of competition at university. So it was a combination of fear and discomfort. Right around that same time, my father was giving me $25 a week allowance in 1976.
It was a lot.
Well, I asked him for more money.
You did?
And he said, no, I can't give you any more money as an allowance. And I said, why? He said, because I paid for your university, which, by the way, as an Ivy League school, was $6,000 a semester. So it's $12,000 for the year.
But that's a lot of money at that time.
At the time, yes, but now it's nothing. So he said, I'm paying for your education, and Grandpa bought you a car. So
and you were living wealthy. You were always in the money. Like for you, money was not...
My father did well. We did not want for anything financial necessarily. Emotionally, it was difficult. But...
Join the club.
And my father said, if you want more money, get a job. I said, but I'm a full-time student. He said, well, get a job at night or on the weekends.
How did
I tried a couple of jobs, like a hardware store, remember, or something, but it wasn't my thing. But I remember on the weekends I would go dancing in Boston, because disco was prevalent in 1976.
Dancing like in the club?
Disco dancing in clubs every weekend with my girlfriend, Elise Brodsky.
Who?
My girlfriend, Elise Brodsky.
Yeah, I know.
This is what we did. It would be like a Saturday night. I would go to her dorm room. She would blow out my hair. I would blow out her hair.
Oh, my God.
I was wearing a brown gabardine suit with a brown satin vest.
What is gabardine?
Gabardine is a kind of material, of fabric, with a polyester shirt with the collars that sit on top of the collar, platform shoes. We'd drive in my Trans Am.
You had a car?
To the clubs, and we'd drink and we'd dance all night. So my father says, you should get a job at night or on the weekend. I thought, well, if I'm going to these clubs anyway, I see there's a guy like he's playing records or something. I'm not really sure what, maybe disco DJ. I'm not really sure what it was. I would never talk to him because it's very intimidating. But I said, I could probably do that.
Yeah,
and I'm
no
going
experience.
to the clubs anyway. No experience whatsoever. Zero. Absolutely zero.
6'6".
None. No experience. So I remember coming back to New York that summer, and there was a club in my neighborhood called Court Street on 80th Street and 2nd Avenue. And there was a small club in the back, DJ. I went up to him and I said, "Are you looking for a DJ?" He said, "I am. I'm going to leave." He said, "Are you a DJ?" I said, "Absolutely."
You had no experience, Brad?
None whatsoever. He said, "Well, I want you to audition." So I auditioned on a Saturday night. I played a couple of records and I cleared the floor.
On Saturday night?
On a Saturday night,
pressure.
and he did not hire me.
Ah.
I practiced the whole next year. I went back to the club the next summer and I got the job.
Okay.
$25 a night. I played 5 nights in a row.
And your father $26 too?
No, that was during the school year, but this was during the summer. And Brad had arrived because I was now a New York DJ in a small club. You know, went back to Boston, went back to school, graduated early, played in clubs in Boston. So I didn't choose that as a career. I just did it really to make money and meet girls because I was shy, and it worked. Everything worked.
Tell me about this shyness of yours.
I was just a shy guy.
Are you still shy? Probably.
To some degree, I am.
You're very shy. I know you personally.
You know me for a couple of days. Yeah.
22 years.
22 years.
But I think you're a shy guy. Mm-hmm. And when we have a strong personality as an entrepreneur, we hide it behind. Do you do that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there are 2 Brads, right? Mm-hmm. One is this, business owner, right?
The guy who gets the job.
Who's the guy talking to you now? And then there's, the little boy, right? Because we all have the little boy and little girl in us, right? And depending upon where the situation is, either one can show up, right? And so anyway, I was playing records in clubs, and
Xenon came.
So before Xenon came, when I was playing in this small club that I auditioned for and got the job the next summer, the DJ who was leaving said, "I think I know someone who knows you, who went to high school with you, in a class older than you." And he told me the name, and I knew the name of this woman. Her name was Nicole Simon.
Simon. Like
and I said, "I do know who she is." He said, "Well, she's actually in the disco publishing business. They have a magazine. Would you like me to connect you guys?" I said, "Sure," never thinking,
Give you the phone number at that time.
Phone number connected me, and I went and saw their offices, and they hired me as an intern.
What was the name of the magazine?
Discotekken.
Okay.
Discotekken. Now out of business for many, many years. And then when I'm working with this magazine, I was reviewing records. So everybody wanted my attention. Record companies would send me free records. I'd review them. And now I started to meet people in the music business. Mm-hmm. I never had any interest in being in the music business. I didn't even know what the music business was. All I knew about music was records you hear on the radio. You didn't have these music shows on television back then. You had the Grammys.
Yeah.
It was like once a year. Now every week you have a country music, you have an R&B, you have a hip-hop, you have it. We didn't have that then. Mm-hmm. So I'm working at this magazine. I'm doing record reviews for the magazine. I'm meeting people at record companies. I'm meeting promotion people, all of whom want my attention because they want me to write good things about their records. I did that for a while, and then I get a call from an independent promotion company who liked the way I carried myself, I guess. At the same time, I got an offer to work with them. I got an offer to work at a record company. So I decided to go with the independent promotion company. And that lasted 3 months before I got fired because no one taught me how to promote records. And I was, sort of devastated by the firing. But I picked myself up and got another job.
Devastated, or your ego got smashed?
No, I was pretty devastated. Yeah, I was damaged.
What happened when you damaged?
I got another job.
But what happened when you in business as an entrepreneur? When you get devastated?
It's been the business has been my wife. It's been my kids. It's been my mistress. I've cried with it. I've celebrated with it. It's brought me to my knees. It's brought me to the highest points in my life. It's been my family. Mm-hmm. I've sacrificed my personal life for many years because of that business.
And today?
I didn't have to, but drugs and alcohol didn't help,
You're 22 years sober?
I'm sober 22 years.
Do you think the fact that you were in that industry of music party was okay at that time? Rock and roll.
It was condoned. That's right. It wasn't condemned. It was condoned. And because I always wanted to be part of, you do drugs with somebody, you drink with somebody,
He's your best friend for the moment.
For the moment, right, until the next day.
And your personality changed?
Immediately.
Do you have bigger deal because you were partying with them?
I don't know if it was a bigger deal. It was
but did you have bigger deal, like a connection that you will get the contract because you did
sure.
a line of coke?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what you consume.
Absolutely.
You drink, I drink with this guy. He's giving me his record.
Exactly. If you remember anything you talked about the night before. But yeah, so now you're closer with them, right?
Okay.
People can go out to dinner with you. They can have drinks with you, do drugs with you. It's how you connect, let's do lunch kind of thing. And
so that part play a big part of starting in the industry as well, if I understand correctly.
It was part and parcel with what was going on in the late 70s and 80s.
And you're now sober.
I am now
So
sober.
when you decide to come out and not being anymore in this pattern of your life for yourself, to be more healthy and not consume, was it scary because now you didn't have this, what I'm going to do with this person for do a deal for business? Do you understand? Because you're changing. They know you as Brad, 6'6", 200 pounds, and like, let's party and have fun.
That's a Brad on cocaine. The real
Yes.
Brad is 5'8" and 160 pounds.
It's perfect. We like that one.
That's
Please
right.
stay
That's
this
right.
way.
Yeah.
But did you at one point say, is it going to affect my business to have a deal?
There are some people who did not want to associate with me.
Do you
because
think
I was
today it's
sober.
still like that?
No.
That we have to consume?
No.
In the industry?
It's been so many years, I don't know. It's not looked at the same way. When you get to be a certain age, you need to stop that. I needed to stop it way before I stopped it, but at some point, it's no longer cute. It's no longer acceptable. I don't tell people what they should or shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
That's their journey.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be told what to do when I was doing it. But getting back to that point, so I had a couple of jobs, after I got fired from the Internet Promotion Company. I worked with a couple of labels and got fired from those. One was going out of business. The other was threatened by somebody at the record label, so they wanted to get rid of me, kind of thing. And right around this time, I was still DJing at clubs in New York, and the clubs are getting larger and larger, And then I got a call from a very prominent DJ at the time. His name is Jellybean, John Jellybean. Benitez.
Yes.
And he was leaving Xenon, and he had heard about me. We knew each other for a while. And he asked if I wanted to audition for Xenon, and I did. I got the job.
It's funny they have to do an audition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was the competition of Studio 54.
Yeah, and I got that job, and that was Wednesday and Saturday night. And my drinking really went crazy. My cocaine use really went crazy.
Why?
Because I could not play records sober. I was too nervous to play records sober. A couple of drinks and a couple of lines of cocaine, I'm good. And
so it was all about yourself, not scared to be delivered the job correctly.
Fear of failure.
Yeah.
Fear of failure.
Are you still like this on your company today?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You scared?
I have a fear of failure.
What can you fail at? You're the only one who knows what the job has to be done.
Because it's not, it's an inside job. Mm-hmm. Number one records, they last for a week. Then you're on to the next week, So it's constant approval of yourself. And
do you still like this, Brad?
No, I'm not. I'm really not. But up until COVID, I was. COVID changed everything for me.
You told me once that in the business you are in, music, that you start at 10 and you go to top number 1. It's the 10 first position who's really important. Why is it only the 10? And it must be the pressure on yourself and your team if you only have a week every week to get in the first 10 place must be.
You don't do it in the first week, but the goal is, the slogan is 11, 6, and 2 don't count.
Okay, that's your thing?
Top 10, top 5 are number 1. No one is happy with a number 11 record.
No.
No one ever says, oh, my record's number 6. oh, guess what? I have a #2 record. You have a #2 record, you're a failure. It should be #1. So our slogan is 11, 6, and 2 don't count. But the goal is, when you've been around as long as I've been around, nobody's interested in mediocrity. I'm not interested in mediocrity. If you're going to go for it, you go for it. And it is a lot of pressure. It's a tremendous amount of pressure.
Don't you like it, though? I love it.
I did not like it, but it's something that I created, because when you achieve a certain degree of success, nobody's interested in number 11. They're used to top 10. Nobody's interested in number 6. It's got to be top 5. And nobody's interested in number 2. It's got to be number 1. So it's unspoken, but we all know what everybody wants.
You know.
And I know what I want, which is the most important thing, because, you know, there's always the fear that if you don't deliver, you're not going to get the next project. I mean, ask any successful actor. The most successful actors, they're always concerned about the next job, right? I'm always concerned about the next job. Any entrepreneur, if they have half a brain in their head, will be concerned about what's happening next month, what's happening next year,
Tomorrow.
where we're going. Exactly.
No, tomorrow
right?
they got a call.
So, right. So it's, you know, what I did last week is over on Friday.
Of course.
Now we start again on Monday.
And now the lapse of people in business is so short. Like now you say for a week, whatever happened last week is last week. Now the world of today, if you're an entrepreneur, it's what's going to happen tomorrow morning. Every morning I wake up
swiping.
and I'm like, swipe. I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to have a call. What about if I go bankruptcy?
That's right.
What about if I lose everything?
That's right.
Do you
so
think like
it's
that?
the fear, which is a big part of my life, that either can consume you and paralyze you, or you can use it as fuel. So I've learned to use it as fuel. So the reason my company has achieved whatever success is achieved,
You're the biggest one.
is because of my fear.
So fear played a good job on you.
Fear has been the accelerant for my success.
Do you feel as an entrepreneur?
And my insecurities have been the accelerant of my success.
Do you feel as an entrepreneur, now that we develop to use that fuel and be scared, and we kind of mentally disturbed because we like that pressure. When it's too easy, we think it's not a good project. When we don't feel the fear and the challenge, we like challenge.
Well, challenge is one thing. Fear is something else for me. I always like a challenge. Brad needs a project. Brad loves a project.
What about Brad's project?
But there's a difference between a project and the creative and the fear of it not being successful. Those are two different things.
Explain.
So fear comes from childhood, right? And some fear renders people useless. And some fear drives them. It can also drive you crazy. And then when you're in that game, you don't get out of the game. Because it's not about what you did Friday. Monday's here again. So it's the repetition, the lather, rinse, and repeat. Keep going and keep going. And the money is good. But how much is your peace of mind worth? And then COVID hits and changes the entire complexion of my business. Which
Only you or all the industry of music?
Everybody in my space who was hired to promote records and secure chart positions, a particular chart. When COVID hit, clubs were closed, so the club chart and Billboard shut down. Billboard
magazine.
And now what do we do? I embraced the time, and I said, you know, I think now it's a good time for Brad to do stuff that Brad wanted to do. I remember talking to my general manager at the time, a month before COVID hit, and I said, you know, I could really use a month off. Little did I know it'd be 3.5 years. And that changed my outlook on things.
Did you get scared?
No.
At the beginning?
No.
How did you manage the twist? Know. You were ready.
I was done.
Are you done today?
I'm done doing what I did then. But now we've morphed into a whole different angle of work. which I think is much more important in terms of social media, taking our music direct to consumers versus radio stations and club DJs and hoping the consumer finds it. We take our music direct to consumers because your cell phone allows you to do that. Technology allows you to do that. Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and allows you to do that. So we opened up that part of our business, which is a lot less pressure for me and allows me more time that I can fly here to see you versus being tethered to my office and being frightened to leave because I can't get the chart number, and now I'm back in the game.
And the phone, if it rings.
Of course. Of course.
Do you think, because of our age, we are older?
You're older.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding.
It's
Not
my
really.
pleasure. That's what I'm here for.
He's lying, guys.
You're welcome.
How did you adjust? Because technology is not where we're growing. I mean, you had to go after COVID and learn this monster of technology. How did you go back to school? Did you take class? Did you surround yourself with
I surround myself with people who know it, and I come up with an idea and they execute it. I'm an idea guy. I could sit in a room all day long and come up with ideas. Be happy as a clam.
Really?
Being an idea guy, though, doesn't really pay the bills, so you have to surround yourself with people who know what you don't know. And the smart guy, the wisest guy, is the guy who doesn't know who knows what he doesn't know. And never be concerned about surrounding yourself with people that are better than you in certain areas.
Absolutely.
Because everybody has their strength. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why you say I'm successful. The company's done well. Yeah, we've done well.
I always say, as an entrepreneur, a lot of people look up, and I always say, if I walk in the room and everybody is not smarter than me and more, and as an entrepreneur, you know, let's say we have a meeting, I immediately leave because
wrong room, right?
I'm in the wrong room because I'm not going to learn anything.
You won't grow from that.
Well, you know what I mean? You need to have people that will teach you to grow.
Yeah.
And that means that you have to trust them.
Right.
And when you're a one-man or one-woman show, it's hard because you have no choice.
Well, that talks about childhood. The whole trust issue is childhood.
And then the technology of today, we're like dinosaurs. If you think about it, they go and they're 10 years old and they can.
Yeah, kids are flying, and we're just, we're.
Do you think the music today, with the technology, sounds different?
I'm not a fan of most of the music today.
Why?
Because I don't think it's. I think it's more technology based than it is talent. You know, because of the way that I was raised, my mother being a singer, and my age. I've just turned 26. Mm-hmm.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. That it's probably what my parents would say about the music I listen to. Oh, the music those kids listen to, we don't. But it's true. I mean, I'm just not a big fan of auto-tune. I like singers who can sing. I like singers who pronunciate words.
Today.
I like songs that tell me a story.
Today. Everybody can sing.
It's not prevalent. Right. Today, anybody can be perceived as singing. But, and there were some incredible vocalists, don't get me wrong. I mean, there were some unbelievably talented people that I admire. But the lion's share of the music that I hear is not what I would call premier vocal talent. Technology allows people who can sing to sing better. And I guess that's always true, to some degree. But there has to be some benchmark by which you have to meet to be a singer. But that's not the case now, So, but what do I know?
Today, you have to be a good product to sell yourself.
That's right.
If you're a good product and can sell shoes and sing.
That's right.
And have perfume.
That's right.
And have 3 buildings where you can go gambling, you're it.
That's right. That's right. So with multimedia, right. So music now is no longer a one-sensory medium. Music is as important to look at when you're listening to it as it is to hear, right? And that's not always the way that it was, and that's a great thing, because image is everything, isn't it?
Yes.
If you like the image, you listen to the music. If you like the music and it's great, you'll get accustomed to the image, right? But what do I know?
I'm going to go in the tacky questioning now.
That's my favorite part.
I know. Who's the biggest artist you work with who surprised you the most and you didn't believe that this was going to happen to be number one?
Diana Ross.
Why?
Well, it's an interesting story.
Love her. Love her.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. It started in 2017, so the company was then 30-some-odd years old, and I get a call from her publicist who said that she had heard about my company and was interested in our remixing one of her classic records, that she had never sanctioned or approved any of the remixes of her classics, but she wants to get into that business, and would I be interested in doing that? And of course, I was very, taken by the call, very, happy with the call.
Surprised?
Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, absolutely surprised. But what I did say was, let's have a conference call. We'll talk about it. I wanted to talk to her anyway,
Did you want to see her?
Not necessarily, but I wanted to talk to her. So we set up a call for the next Monday, and she was the first person on the conference call, which tells you a lot about her. At that point, she was 73 years old. So she was on the call, her attorney was on the call, her publicist was on the call, and I was on the call. And we were talking about the idea of doing it, and I said, I am, honored by the request, of course. I said, but I have some concerns. And she said, what are those concerns? I said, well, you have a lot of records, a lot of hit records. Not all of them will lend themselves to a remix. It doesn't work that way. Some will lend themselves much more so, and I don't want to force it. So it depends on the song you want to do, and I don't want you to re-sing the song. I want to use the original vocals from when you recorded it. Mm-hmm. She goes, why can't I re-sing it? I said, because, your songs are so classic. The moment you hit a note that people don't know, they're going to know it's a re-sing. We remix the original with the original music. If you don't want to do that, I'm not the guy for you.
You see how strong you are when I say how powerful and strong you are? One way you accept as an entrepreneur to take the biggest deal that was flattering for you, the biggest deal, flattering deal, but you had concern and you were enough powerful as an entrepreneur to tell them, this is going to be my rules. If not, I'm not taking the deal. Well, that's what I mean by famous and powerful.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's powerful. And the reason I do it is this. I do it for self-preservation reasons. One is, when you get involved with remixing these classics, and we've done a number of them, it's opened up a whole business for us since then. The expression is tugging on Superman's cape. I don't know if
no, we don't understand that.
Okay.
Please, could you explain?
So Superman is Superman. Mm-hmm. He's a fictional hero. Mm-hmm. He can't fly if you're tugging on his cape. You got to let him go, right? You got to let him go. So I have to express my concerns because I don't want to be involved with, or as I said to her, the last thing I want is to turn a classic record of yours into a caricature of itself. You don't turn the Mona Lisa into a cartoon, right? So I didn't do it to be powerful. I did it to protect my integrity and to protect her integrity, but really to protect my integrity because...
In case you cannot deliver?
Exactly. And now, while the idea was great, no one gives a shit about the idea. They care about the execution, right?
Yeah.
Right?
But you care enough about the client to see.
I care enough about the client, but I care more about my brand. So if I'm going to be involved in something, it has to do extremely well. Not well, but extremely well. Otherwise, I'm going to be disappointed. They're going to be disappointed. Okay.
It's your way or no way?
I compromise. I do compromise.
You do?
I do compromise, right. I do compromise. But there are certain things you can't compromise on. And in this particular case, I could not compromise on choosing a record that wouldn't work or not having the original music.
And what did she say?
She said, I completely understand. I want to remix Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And I said, I like that song. I know that song. I remember playing the 45 when I was like 7. I even told her what the 45 sleeve looked like. And I said, can you get me the original vocals and music? I said, because you don't own those parts. Back in the day, artists don't own anything.
No.
The record company owns. She goes, I'm very close with Berry Gordy to this day, the president of Motown.
So
also-
today, this was in 20...
This is 2017.
Okay, it's not that long.
So we agreed on doing that. At the end of the call, she goes, I really need to see you. I said, we can Zoom. She goes, I don't do Zoom. So it's the only time I ever got on a plane to meet an artist. So I got on a plane, met with her in the hotel. Lovely, lovely meeting.
In L.A.?
In L.A. And we had the remix done within a week.
How did you feel when you saw her? Were you happy, proud
No,
of
she was
yourself?
actually 45 minutes late, and I wasn't happy about that.
Okay, but beside that, Brad, were you...
I was not happy about that.
But were you...
I was honored that she sat with me, yes. But time is the one thing we can't get back.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make more money or make less money or meet different people. If you say you're going to meet me at a certain time, within reason, I don't really care who you are.
Mm-hmm. You're
no more important than I am. You're not. I understand that you're so-and-so and you have the hit records or you're an actor. And I get all of that. I respect it. Bravo. I think it's incredible. But there have to be boundaries, right? There have to be boundaries.
Did you
anyway,
tell her?
No, I told her publicist. Anyway, I sat there. She walked in. We had a great conversation. And I had to deliver the remix within a week.
A week?
Because she was getting the Icon Award of the American Music Awards. And she was going to be given the last 18 minutes of the show. She was going to do a medley of her songs and then accept the award. And she said, I need the remix done and out in a week. So we got the remix done. We sent it to her by email. I didn't know what she thought about the remix until she came into the hotel. She came in, she sat down, and she said, I was going to end the medley with a song called Best Years of My Life. I guess she does it in her shows. She goes, that remix is so good. She goes, I'm going to end the medley with the remix. So I thought, it's good. It's a good thing.
How did you choose who's going to remix it? Is it up to you?
Yeah, it's up to me, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you choose the person?
I connect in my head talent with talent.
It was Eric Copper?
It was Eric Copper.
And you love Eric?
Genius.
I work
Musical
with him.
genius.
I work with him.
One of the greatest remix/producers in this business.
We don't hear so much. We don't hear so much about him.
No.
Is he a machine, or it's because he's
a genius and he's not an extrovert. But I bring him in on all the big records. The Ariana Grandes, the Christina Aguilera's, I had him remix the entire Diana Ross remixed album. That's a whole other story. Anyway, meet her. She likes the remix. I go back to my office. We create all the artwork. And we service the record digitally. And then I have a panic attack.
A panic? When? The day after?
As soon as I sent it out.
Why?
I thought, this could be a huge mistake.
Are you serious? Why?
Diana Ross, who am I to, try to reinvent that wheel, And so I got over that about 5 minutes later. And ultimately, long story longer, it went number one in Billboard. And as it was going up the chart, I asked her if she wanted to do another one.
But you just had a panic attack.
Yeah, well, this is, weeks after the record started.
But you see how we are as
Right,
entrepreneurs?
yeah.
Let's get scared again.
Yeah, exactly. It's never ending. So I said, do you want to do another one? She goes, what do you think? And I said, I think we should do I'm Coming Out with Upside Down. We can do both of them together. They're both written by Nile Rodgers of Chic. Mm-hmm. And let's release it right before Pride because I'm Coming Out is a gay anthem. She goes, I like it. And that record went number one.
Did you have to push a lot?
I always push a lot.
Okay.
None of it happens by accident. None of it.
You think we have to work as an entrepreneur to get where we want?
I know we have to work.
The people who just want to work 40 hours from Monday to Friday and have 2 hours lunch, you think this is normal?
It is for them.
But you're not an entrepreneur.
I'm not a company guy. I don't
can't
take
do
2-hour
that.
lunches. I eat at my desk.
If you think about it.
That's right. So we did that second one, and that went number one. And then it was 2019, and she was turning 75. And the record company that owned all the masters said, we'd like you to do The Boss, which is my favorite record that she did. It wasn't a big record as a pop record. So we remixed The Boss, and it went number one. Now 3 in a row. And then they said, you want to executive produce the Diana Ross remixed album?
You.
Yeah. They asked me a year before that, and I said no because
Because what?
We did a couple of singles, and that was it, I said, if we get another one, we'll see. The third one went number one. I said, I'll do it.
Is it the first time you were producing something?
No, I've done.
And this size?
No, I've done other ones.
Which other one did you do?
We did the Spice Girls' Greatest Hits. We did Depeche Mode.
You produced it, so it's you.
Yeah, remix producer. Yeah. So anyway, so we did those 3 records for Diana Ross, and then they wanted the album to come out, the remixed album to come out within like 3 months, which was way too soon. I couldn't get all the remixes done because we had to get all the titles right, and she was moving the titles around. She wasn't sure. We finally got all the titles right, and we started to remix the record, and they wanted the album out in a couple of months, and I said, it's not going to be possible. I said, if you want me to rush it, I'm not going to do it. Just have somebody else do it. They said, no, you should do it. And she really wanted the album out, And I said to them, I can't do that. I'm not going to sacrifice the quality. I mean, I'm just not going to do it. They said, is there anything you could do? I said, well, I said to make her happy and maybe buy some time, I would remix maybe one more record as a single, like we did Ain't No Mountain High Enough, and then Upside Down with I'm Coming Out, and then The Boss. I said, I'll do Love Hangover, which I never liked. I don't like that record. To this day, I never liked it. Just don't like it. But it's a big record, and I said if that would make her happy to buy some time until the album comes out, I'll do that. They said, okay, do that. I said, but I'm not going to play the Billboard chart game. I'm not, we're doing it for her, whatever. And they said, that's great. We appreciate that. That's okay. So we released that record, and the record's starting to go up and up and up. It's now at number 2, and COVID hits. And the last chart before COVID and before the chart closed down permanently, the record went number 1. It's the last number 1 record in that chart's history. 4 number 1 records by the same artist while they're living to go number 1 twice in their lifetime is a record. Billboard wrote an article about that. And that was us. Wall Street Journal wrote an article about that. So
Eric Kapper did it?
Eric Kapper.
Love Eric Kapper.
Yeah. He's a guy who should be on this show, not me.
He's coming.
He's really the guy.
You told me yes.
Yeah. So that's, and it all started from my saying, no, I don't, I like this, I don't like that. And it works out that way.
So, if I understand correctly, because I've been listening for a little minute, you are a good sell person. You will be able to switch the whole game to make everybody happy but get what you want. So you're very good at selling your ID.
I believe in I believe in my
way to do it.
I believe in my business.
So you now have a lot of flexibility, even if you look like you have a lot, because you have a way to switch it, and it's a plus as an entrepreneur. It's a compliment that I'm giving you, that you will take the opportunity, because for me, opportunity as a business person, I think it's a compliment to have, right? An opportunist. Opportunist is a compliment. Does it say that word in English?
Yeah, in English in the United States, opportunist is not a compliment, but I know what you're saying.
And French, yeah. I don't know, maybe you can explain it.
We look for an opportunity, and if it fits, yes, we move forward with that. Yeah.
But you're able to switch it. So you're flexible, but still get what you want. So you're a great entrepreneur.
Well, and life is compromise, isn't it? You can't always have it your way. You may want it your way, but if you want to be successful personally and professionally, you have to have some degree of compromise, right? And you can't polish a piece of shit. You can't, right? But there are ways to especially in the arts, to position things so that they're much more appealing.
But you're great at doing that.
It's about reframing.
Yes.
Right? Life is about reframing, right? So we do well with the reframe. Yeah. But people also know me as, some people will call me arrogant. They'll call me self-centered. They'll call me egotistical.
Well,
I don't think, I mean, I was egotistical. I try not to be arrogant. I don't think I'm self-centered anymore, you know, because for whatever reasons, you know, that's life plays an interesting trick on you. But what I am is I am sure about what I do for a living.
You can deliver.
Just that I can prepare appropriately to mitigate or reduce the chance of things going wrong. Preparation is everything in life, right? It's everything. There are some businesses that don't prepare. Some businesses prepare. I prepare. And I prepare only because I'm frightened of the outcome if I don't. So I can't rush it if it's not right. I'm not comfortable with that. And at the end of the day, my name is on it, right? So I can't blame you for it. I have to take full responsibility. If I'm getting involved in remixing something and promoting it, it's concept to completion. There's no room for error.
The pressure.
I can't remix it and give it to another promotion company and blame them if it doesn't do well. I can't promote a record and remix it and blame the person who remixed it because I chose them. So I'm carrying this entire project. It's about anywhere between 4 and 6 months from the time we agree to it to the time the record charts. It's a long time.
So because you involve so much time on project, you had to let go of your personal life, I'm sure. You have to make decisions.
My personal life was, for many years, not the priority. I had a personal life, but I did not pay nearly as much time to my personal life as I did my company. And as a result, my personal life suffered. My business excelled. If I had to do it again, if I was the guy then that I am now, I would have been able to manage both.
At 26?
No, probably at 36, a solid 10 years in. Because the first 10 years, you know, you're all about, come on, you're going. You're going.
Your
right?
rollerblades on.
That's right. You know, you're full steam ahead, right? But, you know, I was heavily involved in alcohol and drugs. And when you do that, you have arrested development. You stop growing emotionally. Immediately you stop. But in a business that allows you to do that, it's okay because you can do that. So the business propelled, and Brad sort of stayed here, right? And
so if you had to redo it all over again at 36 years old, what would you do beside the alcohol and the drug? Do different
I
things?
would not do alcohol and I would not do drugs. I would
face the fear?
Well, I didn't even know that I was afraid then. That's the thing, you see.
But now you know.
Now I know I'm riddled with it. And I still am riddled with it.
Personally, I don't believe, and maybe I'm wrong, that it's about money anymore. Like, you're okay to buy a meal tonight.
I will probably be able to afford dinner.
Okay.
Or supper.
Supper here. It's supper. Dinner is lunch. Right. Do you doing it not for the money? Okay, money is good. It's good to have extra money to have to dinner. But I mean, is it at the same time still going for the money, or it's because you just want to be number one now?
It's not about the money. It's not about number one anymore. I love what I do for a living. I've always loved it. Drunk, high, sober, angry, irritable, happy, miserable. I held on to my business as the last good thing that Brad had.
Okay.
That was who I was. I was my business. Now it's what I do for a living. It's not what I am. Now, I'm happy to pay my bills. I'm happy not to owe money. I'm happy to have what I've earned. You know, I thank God for what he's given me. I thank God for what he's taken away. I thank God for what he's left me. I believe in God. I don't treat God like Santa Claus.
No.
God, please, I'm a good boy. Can you get me the money and the account and the girl and the car? I pray every morning on my knees. And I'm a Jew, and Jews are not supposed to pray on their knees. I pray on my knees and have every morning since I've been sober. And at the end of my prayers, because I am a human, and if I want something, I don't ask God to get it for me. I ask God to give me the strength to achieve my goals. It's a big difference for me.
What's your goal?
I want to have a robust personal life. I want to be happy with a partner. And
A partner or someone who will walk the line with you?
that's my partner. Yeah. A personal life partner.
That's what you're looking for?
That's what I want. Because I have everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is life, really?
Not much.
Life is health.
You have no health,
knock
you
on
have
wood,
nothing.
I believe I have that. Have a couple of dollars in the bank. I'm okay with that. I have my friends, right? Whatever I've achieved, I've achieved.
Cannot take it away.
No, it is what it is, you know. But now I really want to share it with somebody that I, as you would say, finish with. That's what I want. And I will say that
The line.
up until recently.
You need to finish the line.
Yeah, finish the line. But up until recently, that was never a priority for me. Never.
When is this game? After COVID?
Yeah. It put things in proper perspective. COVID for me was fantastic. Not fantastic that people were dying.
No.
No. But it put things in proper perspective.
It's just a job. You are.
Well, for me, it's a career, and I enjoy it. And every day, you know, in New York City, I guess the same in Montreal, but New York City, as you know, was people were dying by the tens of thousands every day. It was beyond anything we had experienced. There were so many people dying, in fact, that hospitals couldn't take them anymore. Funeral homes couldn't take them anymore. Morgues couldn't take them anymore. So they were backing up these long refrigerated trucks that they would haul meat in, and they would put the dead bodies in. And I remember biking through Central Park to my office. I went to the office every day. I biked from Manhattan, my office, my home in Manhattan, to my office every day, because when I got to my office, in my head, everything was fine. Everything was okay. Nobody else is in my office. Everybody's working remote. But in my head, that's at least a happy place.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd bike through Central Park, and on the left, you'd see the horses running and the dogs running. And on the right, you'd see these white tents set up as makeshift hospitals, right? And then the core of my business was taken away, and it never came back. My income was taken away. But my peace of mind returned, and I realized how much pressure I was in for all those 40 years. Because when you're in the game,
you don't see the game.
You're in the game.
You run the game. It's your game.
That's right.
It's your show.
And if you don't, you fail.
But to who?
Or you think you fail.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so what's the price of fame? I don't know. But for me, I had no choice. COVID was not going away. Remember when COVID hit in New York, is it for a day? Is it for a week? Maybe it'll last a month, maybe a quarter.
It was the same here.
Right, okay, so we didn't know. And then when restaurants opened up again, you could eat 6 feet apart. But when clubs open up, you're not dancing 6 feet apart, so clubs were closed for over a year. DJs had no work, right? And so I had no business. And then I found myself.
You reinvent your business. You find yourself.
I reinvented my business, and I found myself and what's important. So, my goal was never, it's funny, my dad was an entrepreneur, and my father, when I started my business, we would talk late at night. He'd be working late, I'd be working late. And my father would say, so how was your October? How'd you do financially in October? I said, I don't know. He said, what do you mean you don't know? Don't you know what you did the last October? I said, no, I don't know what I did. He goes, because he said he would always compete, always try to beat. Every October should be the previous. Every November should be the. I said, Dad, that's not the way that I work. I said, I work, I can't work any harder than I'm working. So I don't know, I don't know. So I couldn't tell you now what I made last year. I don't, all I know the bills paid, is everybody good, right? So the money affords you nice things, but it's not like I had this goal of I have to make this or to make that or buy this or buy that. It was never that way with me. I just want to like my work. I just want to go to work. I just want to do my job. I love the process. The expression is the reward is in the effort.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also taught in sobriety, which is a big part of my life without getting into detail, that entrepreneurs are in the action business.
Yeah.
We're not in the results business.
No.
You think you are, but you're not. You cannot control the results, Mia. The only thing you can control, and sometimes we can't even control that, is our actions.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope if we take the right action, the necessary action, we hope to achieve the goal.
We're a good gambler.
Well,
we don't gamble.
Depending on what you gamble on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my role is to take the necessary action. What does that mean? I prepare properly. I choose the right records. I choose the right artists, whatever, if they let me work with them. And I prepare. Mm-hmm. I don't rush it. I prepare it. And when you do that, you have a much better chance of achieving the result, mm-hmm. though there's no guarantee. And I never guarantee anything to my clients other than I will do the best I can. And I will put you through the same system that I do, whether it's J-Lo or it's Beyoncé or Celine Dion, which, you like.
We all like Celine Dion
right.
in Quebec.
Yeah,
we die for her.
I understand that.
It's like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And she is good.
Right. That is incredible talent. So I put it through the same system. But probably the most popular question when the charts were available were, where do you think the record's going to chart? And I would say I have no idea. Even if I thought the record would be number one, I would never say it.
Smart.
Well, I don't know. I think I know. But if you say it's going to go number one and it goes to number two, you lied.
And you fell.
Business is also about managing client expectations.
Yeah.
Because if you tell them one thing, they will never forget that.
Absolutely.
And then you're held responsible and accountable. And I am responsible and I am accountable.
Doing it as an entrepreneur is not, I don't have emotion in business. You cannot mix emotion and, you can say the right thing, the proper thing, but you cannot deal with emotion of somebody else, what they're going to react to what you say. As an entrepreneur, when we gamble with our own words and we're accountable for our own words, it's good. But when we get with human in a private, like I'm a work addict, you are, as I believe, a work addict.
Was, yeah.
It's easier to manage that part than go and get involved with emotional people. Sometimes we have people around us and it's too emotional for us because we never went and tapped on this because we gamble on ourselves as an entrepreneur. Do you understand what I mean?
So with business, you have goals.
Mm-hmm.
And the goals are clearly defined.
Yes.
With humans, they're not always so clearly defined.
No.
Right?
It's scary.
So emotions always come into play, but, I know in my business what the client wants.
Number one.
Back in the day, they want a certain chart position. So I'm goal-oriented, so I know what to do. But humans, we have good days and bad days, and the difference between an and or a but in a sentence changes the entire complexion of the sentence. If I say Mia is a fantastic a person and she has a great podcast, is different than Mia is a fantastic person, but she has a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
One word changes the entire complexion. So emotions are a slippery slope.
8 years old, you decide to walk in to your living room with your dollar bills. It was a party. Tell me how you got these dollar bills.
Yeah, so I was raised in New York City, born in Manhattan, and we lived in Queens, New York until I was 7 years old. And then we moved to a high-rise apartment building in Manhattan because of my father's business. He didn't want to travel back and forth from Queens, so we moved to Manhattan. And in the apartment building, at the bottom of the apartment building, was a dry cleaning company.
Yes.
And people in the building, in the morning you drop off your dry cleaning, and a couple of days later they come back clean. And they had a sign for a delivery boy or a delivery person. They wanted a delivery person.
You were 8.
I was like 8, 8 or 9, And I went in. I was short. I could barely reach over the counter, But I said, I live in the building, and what's the job? They said, well, after school, we're going to give you a list of all the people's apartments where the clothes have come back, and you'd call them on the house phone and say, Mr. Gerard, your dress is ready. Can I bring it up? And you'd say yes, and my job was to bring it up. I was a short kid, so I'd have to hold the dresses high so they wouldn't drag, and the metal hangers were going. I loved it, And there's no salary; it's all tips, only tips, no salary, only.
So you had to be proper.
Well, you just have to show up basically, and this was now the '60s, right? So this was, I would say,
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So this was 1965, 66, 67. So an incredible tip, which you didn't get a lot, was a quarter.
A quarter?
Quarter, 25 cents, quarter.
Yeah.
Big tip. Usually you get a nickel or a dime. Sometimes you get nothing. Mm-hmm. But you never know what you're going to get, and that's what I loved. That's what I loved.
The challenge.
Yeah. I don't know what, I don't know. So I would collect all my change, and then I turned it into dollar bills. And just to fast forward, there was a party my parents were throwing for the adults in the living room one night.
You're funny when you say that, for the adults.
For the adults. I was a kid, and there was a party for the adults in the living room. And I remember while the party was going on for the adults, I was ironing the single dollar bills that I had changed from change on my mother's ironing board in my room. Only one other person that I've ever met has done that. I ironed them all. They were all flat. They all faced in the same direction. And I ran into my living room and showed my father and how proud I was. It's interesting, it's definitely obsessive-compulsive behavior. It's definitely pride involved in that. It's money that I made.
Mm-hmm. You were smart. You went after what you wanted.
I was resourceful. Yeah, I've always been that way. I've always been that way.
Well, obviously.
And my parents, people would think, because of the way that I was raised and that I lived in a beautiful apartment in Manhattan, that, I was spoiled. But the fact is I was not spoiled. I was taught the value of money. I respected money. I respect money today. I don't fear it. I respect it. I don't take it for granted. When I drank into drugs, I blew through a lot of it. I made some really bad decisions. But I always respected money. And, that's a story that is very Brad, that story.
But that Brad is an entrepreneur, even back then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was in your vein. It was inside of you.
It was a thing. I don't know what it was. My father was an entrepreneur, and I watched my father work. I don't think my father ever missed a day of work, ever. I think one day he missed half a day. He woke up, he couldn't stand up straight, so he went in half a day. I don't remember. But my father would say, I'm going in, which means I'm going to work.
But you see, your father was gambling on himself also as an entrepreneur. To be a sculptor, to be a painter, and to have jewelry, That's right. On you. Your mother was a singer. She trusts herself.
That's right.
So
my father, the story about my father being a jeweler was not, my father never went to school to be a jeweler. My mother and my father met in a summer camp. My father was a waiter, and my mother was a counselor for the girls in a summer camp. And they got together. They fell in love with each other. And after camp, my father lived in Brooklyn. My mother lived in the Bronx. He would pick my mother up in the Bronx, take her out to Manhattan for a date, drop her back off in the Bronx, then go back home in Brooklyn. Gee. And my mother would say, at some point, Norman, when are we getting married? And my father said, get married. I don't even have a job. I think my parents were in their early 20s. So my mother at that time was demonstrating washing machines door to door. Back in the day, when you would buy a washing machine from a department store, my mother worked for a Sloan's department store. Mm-hmm. If you bought a washing machine from Sloan's, they would send someone like my mom to your house to show you how to use it.
Great. They should do that again.
So they really should. So my mother would go to and she's leaving one demonstration, and she walks by a jewelry store, and there's a sign in the window that says jeweler wanted. So she went in and she said, my husband's a jeweler. And she set up the interview. My father went in and he got the job.
She was a leader.
Yes, my mother was a leader. My father was not a jeweler, but my father had the hands.
Yes.
And my father was very disciplined. And my father was a driver, a winner. And he got the job. He became foreman at that. Then he left that to go to another store. And then he opened his own store. So that's, our family sort of like fakes it till we make it kind of thing.
Do you believe in that?
I do.
As an entrepreneur, we have to fake it?
Yeah, I think you have to have confidence. You have to have some idea that you could do it. But I think some of it is a sort of wing and a prayer kind of thing,
What's the craziest idea you came alive? But you...
Craziest idea that I've ever had is starting my own company.
You think?
With absolutely no experience. I remember this. I remember where I was. Remember, I was only working for other people at this time.
Yeah.
These guys suggested I do my own company. I said, okay, let me get a pen and a piece of paper. Let me figure this out. Rent. Electric. I don't know, packaging, stuff, everything I think I would need that I saw from people that I work for. Line plus sign total, $5,000 a month. I started the company with $6,000 and my partner brought in $4,000.
You had a partner?
I had a partner for the first year and a half.
And how did this work?
It worked great for a year and a half. And then he left.
He left? Mm-hmm. You bought him back?
I bought him out. So in the beginning, $5,000, which for $4,000 of his and $6,000 of mine, we could survive for 2 months. And you figure in 2 months you're going to know if you have a... We made money the first day. It was great. But the problem was I forgot things like taxes, salaries. The real total was $10,000 a month. And I will tell you 41 years later that if I knew it was $10,000, I never would have done it. No way that I could make that money.
But Brad, we always, if we knew...
No way that I could make that money. So
you did.
The expression is ignorance bliss. Yeah. It worked for me that way.
But we do all the time as entrepreneurs. We don't think this will come up, this will come up.
No, I had no idea.
The idea is so great. It's going to be easy.
I just wanted to do it. I didn't think it was going to be easy. But I figured with $10,000, within 2 months...
We're okay.
Well, you know where you are in 10 months.
3 words. We are almost at the end. I have 2 more questions, and we're done. I'm releasing you to New York. So
believe me, they don't want me back.
3 words. You put it on your own word, the own way you want to put it down. Passion, success, money. Which way would you put them?
Passion, success, and money.
I think the same. I always did. I always say if you have a passion for something, success will come without you having to look for it. And automatically, it will go in the bank account. You don't need to go check.
If you have passion for something, you want to do it a lot.
Yeah.
And if you want to do it a lot, you'd like to think maybe you'll make a couple of dollars.
Mm-hmm. You don't go check. You do it because it comes from your gut.
Yeah, I just do it. And I hope it works.
How long you gonna keep going?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I could leave the business tomorrow if something better came up.
Something better will come.
If I felt as passionate about what I do, about the music business, I would leave the music business tomorrow.
I think
I've done it.
I think you will.
Yeah, I'm happy with what I've done, and I'm more comfortable in my own skin now than I've ever been. I don't need to be in the game to say that I'm still in the game. I don't need to be in the game for the sake of, Brad's still relevant.
You did the
I'm
circle.
67.
You did the 360.
Yeah, it's I'm not. Yeah, I've had incredible wins. I've had terrible losses. I've had things I'm very proud of, things I'm not proud of. I own all of them, every one of them. People say, if you had to do it differently, would you? Yeah, I'd avoid the losses. But, you know, you don't know until you try. You don't know. Anyway, but that's, you know, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Last question. You're 67 years old today. In 5 years from now,
I'll be 72.
where are you?
I'll be 72.
I understand that, Brad. Where are you?
Wherever God wants me to be.
Come on.
Wherever
What's
God
what's the
wants-
project? Because you plan
Wherever
everything.
God wants me to
What's
be.
the
I'll be.
plan?
There is no plan.
You have
Professionally, I don't.
always
I don't-
professionally. 72 years old.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not saying that for any other reason that I really don't know. I don't know what I'm having for dinner tonight. I don't know. I'm not a guy who has this plan. I've never had the plan. That's the thing. I've never had people say, I have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. I never had that plan.
But you plan everything. You say you plan your project.
My plans are 3 months into 6 months.
Okay.
The 5-year thing, I have no idea.
You're comfortable with that?
No, because it's worked for 40 plus years that way.
Yeah.
You know, opportunity presents itself. I look at it. Do I like it? Seems good. Should I invest in it? My time, some money, maybe yeah, maybe not.
I'm going to have fun with it.
It is critical that I have fun with it.
Absolutely.
The win for me is what my father said when I was in college. If you are truly blessed, you will love what you do for a living. And I'll say, if you love what you do for a living, you'll always make a good living because you want to do it a lot.
Absolutely. You're passionate. So in 5 years, I'm going to have you back sitting. You're going to be 72. And
God be willing.
of course, come on. You're so young. We're going to talk about the last 5 years from 67 to 72. I'm curious to find out.
The last 5 years.
I'm so thankful.
Hopefully I won't be in jail at that time.
No.
You're inviting me from behind the prison.
Why
Sorry,
would you?
the warden is here. You got to.
Why?
No, I'm only kidding.
It's one thing you always did. It's doing straight business.
I do straight business. Yeah, I do not get involved in anything duplicitous. No.
So I wish you the best next 5 years in your business.
I'll need it.
I'm sure you're going to be more famous than you can even believe without knowing it. And I want to thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Mia. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
I am blessed to have you as a friend, and a confidant, and a supporter, diehard supporter, and a former client.
Thank you.
Thank you.